All right, welcome to On My Block. We got our Packers preview show. We're previewing the Packers lines. I'm your host, Mike Wahle, along with my good friend, Packers all-time leading rusher, Ahman Green. How we doing, Ahman?
I'm doing good, Mike, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Before we get into this show, let's give a shout-out to our sponsor, betonline.ag. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports contests and events with first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball. Great game last night. First time that no-hitter. Did you see that no-hitter, combined no-hitter?
I missed it, but I heard about it.
Yeah,
I heard
unbelievable.
About it, yeah.
You think about how hard that is, but
that is.
Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information, from live in-game betting to props and futures. So head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. AG, let's start off with this. Probably everybody's talking about it. Trade deadline comes and goes. And so everybody understands, like, you don't have to make a trade on the trade deadline. You just can't make a trade after it. So for a lot of people who get upset, the Packers, the trade deadline came and passed. You kind of go like, dude, we could have made a play for it in July. Probably would have made a little bit more sense, right? Because like for me, if I'm just looking at it from a value standpoint, why would I want to bring somebody in for half the year if I could bring them in for the whole year? Like, I'm paying either way.
Right. And traditionally, Packers never really made a move during this time of the year anyway. And they, it's more of, hey, we got the players we want for the season. If we would have made any different changes, because I researched it, there's no big mid-season trades for the Packers. That's in a long time or ever. It's hard to find. I say only, obviously, all-season trades between, Brett back in the day,
Reggie,
myself,
obviously, yeah.
Reggie was a free agent though, and
was he free agent?
Yeah, he was a free agent. That was the whole big free agent storyline then, and then myself, but I was before the day before the draft trade. So day before draft trades or day of the draft trades, Packers will do, and I think most teams will do that too to get better picks just for that, whatever a better pick from the third round to the bottom of the third. I don't know what the difference is, but obviously just getting value or getting more multiple picks from that point of view.
So, but AG, okay, from a player's perspective, you're hurting. You're 4 losses in a row.
Right.
You need a shot in the arm. I don't think there's any question about it. And we could say, like, we can go back, and the running game last week was great. Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, like, the best takeaway from last week was A.J. Dillon, because I thought Aaron Jones did what we thought he was going to do, but A.J. Dillon ran behind his pads.
Yep.
Dobbs and Torrey gets in the game and makes some play. Like, all of that's great. But the truth is, if you really sit here and look at it, Brandon Cooks from the Texans would have been an upgrade from what we have right now. Right? And we didn't take him. And there's probably some other guys, like the guy for the Steelers guy who went to the Bears.
Yeah, Claypool.
I'm good without that, to be honest with you. Because he lacks a little maturity in his prior dealings, right?
Yep.
But if you're sitting in the locker room and you're going through the season, you're trying to figure out how to right the ship. I think we would have thought, hey, we don't need anybody, right? Because we got everything we needed here, because we had legit talent. Sometimes we just weren't playing well. And we believed that if everything went bad on offense, at least, like Mike Sherman just started taking play calling over again from Rosley. And then we knew like
which
things
he did a few times.
Yeah, we knew things would get better. But with these guys, I'm curious, because we heard Aaron on Tuesday talk about, well, we hope to see, maybe he's on Pat McAfee's show talking about, hey, maybe we see something during the show. We can break some news. Like, he's obviously looking to do something. And so what he's saying again is that what we have on the roster is not good enough. You can interpret it however you want. Yeah. That's how I interpret it. I interpret it, if you're expecting something, it's because you don't think you have what you see is sufficient to win.
Yeah.
So what is the level in the locker room? What's the conversation like when it comes and goes? I know that Matt LaFleur said he doesn't talk about that, and he shouldn't talk about that with the team. Like, you're under the Lions. But what do the players think about that, in your opinion?
In my opinion, for most players, they're probably, especially the players of today, they probably take a little offense to it. Maybe for the guys that are in, I've been here since training camp. What is he referring to? I'm putting in work, but the product is not there. Yeah, the work.
You're talking about Aaron, right? What Aaron said.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I'm like going off of what Aaron says to hear the players and how they reacting. That's what I'm referring to here. So to hear that is like, I know he might be talking about me, but I put in work. I've been here since training camp. I've been doing this, that, and the other. But as what we've seen as fans and as how we look at it as former players, the result on the field is not there. It's been a lot of mistakes, a lot of drop balls, a lot of errors out there. That now the good thing is, Neil, to next year, these players have now experience, but this is now that process, that rough patch in the road that these younger players or inexperienced players have to go through. And even though picking up Sammy Watson's, that we thought that was a good thing, and now it's just his age is showing up because he's having the hamstring issues.
It's his injury. 7 years of injuries, right?
Yeah, injuries are showing up now, for him. So
you always think when you're like, if you're a player, if you're a general manager, you're always thinking like, we can fix it. Like the NFL is full of positive attitude. We can fix it, guys.
You got to have it.
Yeah, and Sammy Watkins is a guy so far, and it's like his career, if he wouldn't have gotten injured so often, I don't know if he takes care of himself or not. It's just unlucky, whatever. Correct. But his career, he's lost millions and millions of dollars because he can't stay healthy, right? Like he would have he was on a trajectory to be a really, really good player in the National Football League. Mm-hmm. And it's unfortunate it hasn't worked out for him. We certainly hoped it was going to be that for him this year with the Packers. But offensively, you look at it, we're 18 points per game. We're 340 yards a game. Now we're rushing the ball at almost 5 yards a clip, and for almost 100 and 100 over 120 yards rushing. We could be better, but considering the amount of touches that we've actually had, that's pretty good, right? Mm-hmm. But if you're in the so now you look, we get past the trade deadline, and I feel the same way about it that you do. I'd be kind of scratching my head, but also it's time to look in the mirror and be like, I obviously might not have my stuff together, because the best quarterback in the world is saying, like, we need to make some changes. Like, we need to have some upgrades. So I need to do what can I do to get better? That's always like, what can we do to get better as players, right?
Right.
So what do you think after last week's offensive performance? And there's a lot of talk going around. Well, the Bills played shell defense and blah, this and that. Dude, we talked about last week. You still got to run the damn ball. You still got to make plays. Samori Torrey still got to break twice on that play when Aaron Rodgers rolls out of the pocket. Like, that stuff still has to happen, right? And Dobbs didn't do it the week before. So, like, we know that there's progress, at least from player to player, from group to group. So what are guys talking about leading up to a Detroit Lions team that is absolutely awful on defense? What are they talking about in the locker room right now?
Right now, I would say you would talk about yourself. I say, no, you should be talking about yourself. Be like, hey, this is what I'm going to do to get better, to help this team win. If I'm in a position offensively or defensively, if I'm a receiver, I'll go there first, because that's where a lot of the problems lie. I got to get open. I got to get off coverage. I got to read the coverage pre-snap. I could go in practice this week and say to Aaron, okay, what if we get this coverage? What do you expect me to do? I'm the young guy, because the majority of young guys, you got Watson, you got Dobbs, you got inexperienced receivers, Watkins too. He jumps in there because he's inexperienced with Aaron only. What can I do on cover one press? What can I do on this cover two zone if they do this? What can I do on this play if we got to, alter the route? We got to auto. Find out stuff that we can then have a conversation going from Wednesday to tomorrow to Friday to Saturday before the game. Be like, all right, remember on Friday drill, we did this, and red zone period, we did that. They did, this is how we're going to change the route. So start having those conversations with your quarterback, with your teammates, with coaches. Because I remember when Edgar Bennett would give us, tidbits for the week. And I remember one was AG, when the huddle breaks, hit Brett and say, hey, I'm going to be checked down over here on the left side, and do it every time you come out the huddle. Be the last word in his brain. So then he knows if he's going touchdown, check down, AG's right here. Boom. I could just get it. So queuing them. So queue up Aaron. If you remind him, hey, man, I'm going to be over here on the left side, or I'm going to get open. That's how I'm going to get open. I'm going to turn outside on this. He's going to play me outside, so I'm going to turn inside just a little bit. Have those conversations going to help each other out, to kind of cue each other, to make sure when that play happens in real time in the game, then you're ready to go. It's a reaction. Communication
is so important, isn't it? And, I just thought of something, because this happened in Miami. I don't know if this is happening here, but we always talk about condensing the playbook, because, to your point, the more detailed that we understand each individual concept or each individual play, the better that player is going to be.
Yep.
One thing they did in Miami, and I'm just interested if they do this across the league. I don't know if they do it in Green Bay or not, but I thought it was it was kind of asinine. But the coaches didn't want to condense their play sheet. So what they did is they would just have certain plays for certain players. So they would write in, names like, and obviously, like, Ahman, you're going to run these plays more often than Tony Fisher, than Najee. Okay. But they would literally go like, these players are only going to practice these plays, and they would kind of go down, and so they could expand. They'd be 3 times the play sheet. But what happens is when one person, think about it though. If one person gets hurt, They're like,
It's over.
you're responsible for everything. But it's like, dude, I never ran it. I can't run that now. And so it's, you wonder what's going on as far as like the continual conversation with Simplify. It's just something that came up in my head. But I was listening to Matt LaFleur's press conference yesterday, which I've never done before. I had 20 minutes to burn. I was just wasting time. And he made this interesting comment about balance because they're talking about, well, you finally ran the ball, but you didn't score points. Okay. What does that mean? And you get a balance, and he goes, well, you have to keep defenses guessing because if they know what's coming, they'll most likely stop it. And it's kind of like the pan answer, right? But then, for me, I'm sure for you, I'm like, dude, we used to go into every game and every single team knew exactly what we were going to do. And it was like, I dare you to try to stop us. Like we had that kind of confidence as a unit because we had that kind of confidence individually. And so I just wanted to hear your thoughts on coaching up guys to win their 1v1 matchups a little more than we are now and stop thinking about like, oh, we're going to out scheme everybody. We're going to outthink. Right. It's all about our scheme and how our coaches can put together this game plan. Yeah. And it's more about like, we're going to put the guys in situations to be successful and then create the conditions for them to have that success through how they win their individual matchups, man.
Yeah. It's a conversation real easy where you say to the player as a coach, what plays you like to run? What do you like to run? What do you like to block, Mike? What do you like to block, Josh, O-line, Yashman? What do y'all like to block? Run plays. Give us 5 run plays per person or 5 run plays total, and then we could build off of that. We could build the offensive run game because then you got a run game, and then you could do play action off of that. And then Aaron, what are the throws you like to throw to Romeo, to Samari, to Allen? Tell me those throws, and we're going to put it in the playbook.
It probably starts with Aaron. What 5 plays do we have to have in the playbook? And we could build our whole offense around those concepts, right?
Because then the player is comfortable with the play because they already know it. That means no thinking. This reaction. And
that's
what you want.
Communication that you're talking about all the time.
Yeah, and it's not even – it's not verbal communication. It's more eye. It's like you look at your quarterback. You're in the slot. You look over there. You're like, all right, I see what I got. Okay, we know what we're doing. Boom. And then that's a whole different game plan. Or I say a whole different game play that will be a result of that. Good gameplay.
Yeah, I agree. Let's talk about defense. So the defense is struggling. I mean, we're not, I think across the country, everyone's just basically talking about we're not the team that we thought we were on defense. We're giving up, it says here, we're giving up 141 yards on the ground a game for 29th in the National Football League. We're giving up 16th points per game at 21.6, which is middle of the road, but quite frankly, everybody thought this would be a top 5, right? And there's offensive struggles play into that. Like we cannot minimize the fact that if you're on the field more, you're going to give up more points. Like we know how this works. Yeah. But there's a lot of talk about, okay, do we need to there's player grumblings. Do we need to change scheme? I don't like the play calls. Matt LaFleur came out and said, hey, I endorse all my defensive coaches. But when you get if you have 7 first-round picks, and they're not performing. And now you've got guys that are high-paid guys. And listen, quite frankly, I think they're all talking out of turn. I don't think you should talk to the media about what your coach is doing or your play calls you like. That's not a conversation you have in the media. I'm totally against that. I don't think you should do that. But this is what I want to know from you. I don't think you were with Holmgren in Seattle. I don't think that would be tolerated for Mike Holmgren, and I know it wouldn't be tolerated for Mike Sherman.
100%.
So is this part of the problem, or is this just a new generation thing that you and I just are incapable of understanding?
No, it's been a generational thing, I believe. That's been a problem since I've been seeing it, and I'm like, why are players? That is like you're setting off a nuclear bomb in your locker room, because that means then now there's a disconnect between not only the players and the coaches, but then eventually among the players.
Well, now this is how you get clicks. Right. Yes. This is how little groups form in the locker room. Right.
You don't want that. That's the playground, elementary school, middle school stuff. This is not there. These are grown men, earning them a living. You don't want that. You want one big click. You want the whole locker room together, conversating about the good and the bad that's going on between the offense and defense, special team. We're all in this, man. We got to figure this out. We got to do this because I remember hearing, I'm tired of hearing about this. About our team, but that's having open conversation that we've had amongst ourselves offensive, running backs with linemen, linemen with the D linemen talking like, hey man, we got to figure this out. I need linebackers. You know what? I need you to come hit at the ball a little bit more so I can get used to that physical contact. Letting the defenders know, my teammates know, hey man, help me to get better so I then can focus a little bit, where my focus is there game day and not, somewhere else. And my gameplay is up to par too, because I'm gonna make you better by doing certain things, and I want you to make me better by hitting at the ball. Telling me that I should don't look in the backfield or don't look in the defensive backfield.
Technical and your tactical, right? You're technical
telling me
and
stuff.
You're tactical.
Yeah, telling me stuff to help me.
And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about on the offensive side, where it's like the defensive guys. It's interesting, right? Because the defensive guys are missing tackles.
Right.
The defensive guys are having communication erers. Right. It's not, the defensive guys are not holding their gaps.
Right.
So you could talk about how we're putting you you could talk about how you don't like the schemes and the calls, and maybe Alexander wants to chase around Diggs instead of Gabe Davis, or whatever, man. But the bottom line is you're giving up yards because you missed tackles. So if we spent more time, my opinion, if we spent more time in practice learning how to decelerate, learning how to
come to balance,
come to
balance,
like track the right hip, hit same foot, same shoulder, shoulder pad to thigh. If we wrap, squeeze, run, like all that stuff, square hit, hammer, explode. If we did that, then potentially we wouldn't have to worry about what scheme we're running as much, because as we kind of know in the National Football League now, we see it with the Bengals is probably the easiest thing, right? Jamar Chase gets hurt. They don't change a thing. Why? Well, they were never going to change a thing. They didn't change a thing from last year. They're just basically saying our unique players can beat your unique players. That's what happens across. There's very few teams that are actually like Lamar Jackson. We have this guy. Let's build a system around him. Jalen Hurts. We have this guy. Let's build a system around him. Right? There's very few teams that do that. So the rest of these squads, they have to understand, like, it doesn't matter what the hell they call, man. You still got to tackle somebody.
Yeah, it's basics. You should be practicing that every single day. Basic fundamental tackle, throwing, holding the ball, all that stuff. And we did it. I know McCarthy did it his first couple years when he got here, where the whole team would line up and we'd do stripping drills. That means offensive linemen, defensive linemen, linebackers, DBs, people that usually don't get the ball. Everybody was going through a strip drill. Everybody was doing a scoop and score drill. Quarterbacks did it. Wide receivers did it. D-line, so then everybody was aware of this is how you actually hold the ball high and tight. And when you scoop and score, you want to take that little, like a hitch step, and then pick it up if you're going to try to run. But if not, just fall on it. So you're learning those basic fundamentals that get lost, because then now you're worrying about the bigger picture. Man, can we score points, or how are we going to get yardage? How are we going to convert first down, or how are we going to stop this offense from scoring? Sometimes you just go down to the basics, make it simple, and then all that other stuff will work itself out because you're doing the fundamentals basically.
Yeah, we did. A lot of teams are doing that now. They'll have the tackle drill. Like I took it further when we were down in Miami. You create practice standards for your team. Practice standards for your team are like effort, focus based standards, right? So punching the ball, every defender's got to get a hand on the ball or punch out the ball, or make shoulder contact with the running back or ball carrier when we're in pads. You just do things that are requirements of every single play. So it's not even limited to a drill that we're going to do, right? It's a part of, but conversation for another time. The bottom line is the Detroit Lions are coming in for all their flaws. They're a top 10 offense.
They are top 5 offense.
Yeah,
total offense. It's crazy.
And they're playing at a really high level right now. So that part of the matchup is going to be interesting. Let's look ahead. So Packers open up at -3.5. I'm not sure that's going to happen. We're going into Ford Field. The defense for the Detroit Lions, base 3-4. Aiden Hutchinson's kind of the big name right now. This is a defense, to be honest with you, that you won't recognize a lot of the names on their defense. No. I'll go through. I mean, Alan McNeil, Isaiah Buggs, Josh Paschal. The only guy that really kind of stands out aside from Aiden is Malcolm Rodriguez, because he was all over Hard Knocks. He was the rookie, kind of thumper on their team that played at a high level. Jeff Okudah, he's been there for years, and he's been a good player in this league, but they are an abs. And I know they just fired Aubrey Pleasant, their defensive back.
I just saw that. Yeah,
we'll go into tape right now. Let's go through some of this stuff. AG, they are an absolute disaster, dumpster fire, whatever you want to call it, because of in the secondary, because of scheme injuries, miscommunication, the way it's being, I don't know why they're as bad as they are. Let me bring this stuff in. We'll just watch some tape. This is some of this stuff is just shocking. And so,
Whoa.
Sorry, we'll go back.
No, yeah, I just see the safety
We got
fighting up on that play action so hard. Good gracious.
So we got under center, right? 2x2, tight ends in 11 personnel. Just a couple run defense here. So just like now, this is the starting defensive end versus a tight end.
Right.
I mean, you don't see that very often.
Nah.
Right. And I know everyone's watching. Tony Pollard, who's a baller, jumping over the safety. But that's another problem coming to balance on tackling. There are opportunities here.
No, that's Ezekiel right there. That's actually Ezekiel.
Is that Zeke?
That was Zeke.
Was that Zeke? Well, see, I'm not even used to that. He hasn't done that in 2 years.
I know he hasn't.
You think about Mercedes Lewis and what he's able to do to a defensive end.
Right. I saw him. Yeah, I think you posted, you retweeted or something.
Oh, he's unbelievable.
He planted that dude. But yeah, you see tackle and missed tackles right there.
So you watch here on the fill, number 5. So basically, the Detroit Lions, like last week, they tried to stop this is inexplicable. They played single safety a lot during the Miami Dolphins game, and they were trying to stop the run. And you're like, what? Excuse me? Yeah, but they do some weird stuff. So they'll bring up their safety to fill. So all the Dallas Cowboys do is they insert their wide receiver inside the tight end so they can take on a safety. The safety doesn't press this hole. So everybody is responsible for a gap, AG, right?
Yeah.
So people aren't watching at home. Every single player lined up from Aiden Hutchinson to 34, 96, 44. Everyone's lined up and they're responsible for a gap. Mm-hmm. 5's responsible for that B gap, the gap between the right tackle and the tight end. Mm-hmm. And they just lose gap responsibility here out the gate, right? And this is simple. This is simple football. There's some things that scheme can fix, and there's some things that can't. We need to be able to exploit some of these.
Yeah, and coming to balance.
Yeah.
Reading the hip, like you said. Again.
So I thought this was interesting because they're able to run the read option off the defensive end here, knowing that, right now, is Dak in a position where they want to run him? And they're just not they're just not firing, they're not hesitating, they don't have the schemed up very well. Yeah, Go to the Miami Dolphins. I think this is the last run we have here. And we know that we can capture edges. This has been one of our best plays. In fact, last week during the second half, because Ed Oliver was in the backfield a lot, we did a really good job of cutting the herd. And you just see when you got all these guys, AG, when you got all these dudes, you give us your perspective, right? So you get back here and you got all these big dudes pulling in front of you. Imagine what does it do to the defensive backs that are having to get out of their way and then tackle you?
They lose traction, and then by the time I'm up on them, I surprise them because they're like trying to get out of the garbage, and then they got 225 in their chest, or 220. They don't, and that's the problem because they lose me trying to get around the lineman or the tight end, and which is good. So the offense is doing a great job of getting in their way, and like I say, blinding them for a split second. That's all I need. But you have a split second to react to me, you're going to lose. Or any running back, any NFL running back that's know how to run behind their pass, they're going to lose. Like a Chase Edmonds here in this film.
So we're in a green set here, tight end left, twin set right. This is what we can run with DeGuara and Mercedes Lewis in the game. Motion front and back just to check. Mm-hmm. And again, this is stuff that, from a Green Bay perspective, you got to just be licking your chops because look at the movement we're getting across the board here.
Yeah, you got
98 is not even he's about to get kicked off the screen. That's your defensive tackle. We got and we've got Malcolm Rodriguez filling where he should, but 98's been pushed over a gap and a half.
Yeah.
This is these are real opportunities here because up front they're just not very good. They don't do a good job of penetrating at the line of scrimmage. They don't do a good job of holding their spot.
Yeah. Not using their hands.
I want you to watch this, okay? So they're playing too high. Okay, you're playing the Miami Dolphins with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Okay,
correct.
So for everybody watching, you got trips up on top left. Tyreek Hill's the middle. Jalen Waddle is the inside receiver. Watch how they try to run this.
Oh wow.
They try to run like a tan look and trap the inside receiver, but they do it with the wrong DB.
With the
And
wrong
now
safety.
they got the backside DB running after Waddle.
Yeah, they did that wrong.
You
Yeah.
can't make this stuff up. And that, like, if that's, I'm just telling you right now, if that's a scheme to beat the Miami Dolphins, like, I'm Bob Barker. You know what I mean? That doesn't make any sense.
Let's go. Let's see what they do here. Got Waddle motioning in.
Now, we talked about there's scheme problems, there's technical errors, there's opportunities, right?
Right.
I want you to watch this. I want you to watch the highlighted safety. That technique right there, that spin to loop. What happens is, because he spins all the way around, they leave Tyreek Hill one-on-one with the backside corner. So Tua Tagovailoa has the highest completion percentage right now in the league because of, but you watch these balls, like, he can barely get the ball there. He can barely get it there. That's how wide open these players are.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I know, like, we don't have a Tyreek Hill, but this is all over the film. Okay, you got they're playing the sticks, right?
They're playing the sticks.
They're playing quarters. They're playing sticks here. Again, we got some fast guys on the other side, and it's just, to me, there's a lack of awareness, which points to coaching, which points to execution. Tyreek Hill now has a 10-yard head of steam,
and he's sitting flat-footed.
And the defensive back is sitting flat-footed, AG, and it's like, bye-bye.
No, look, and he has to slow down. He had to slow down to catch that ball.
Saying. Underthrown again, and it just doesn't matter. Okay, I did want to show this.
Okay,
I love this 44, Malcolm Rodriguez. I'm a big fan. Left guard, tuck your ears in, son.
Oh God, that will happen. Hey,
that's happened to me. It happens to everybody.
I've been there.
It's something. It's something when it happens.
Minnesota 0-1.
We got bunch right. Motion across with the tight end. Okay. AG, this is what we've been talking about. Now, there's a lot been said about, should you go under center play action? Can you do it from gun?
Right.
I want you to see how when Tua turns his back to the defense here, even though they're in gun, that is a completely different deal. They got motion across the ball. They got guards pulling. They have action with the line. And what happens is the linebacker has to now follow this guy across, eyes in the backfield looking at the running back. So the slot receiver can run the sail route. And there's just plenty of space because the defensive backs are playing so far off in the secondary. Watch what this does. Watch what this action does to the defense. Look at the defensive line. Not one person is rushing the passer.
No.
You see what I mean?
Yep.
And this is what you look at the Packers from an opportunity standpoint. Like, this is the kind of stuff I think everybody's hungry for, and hopefully we build on from last week.
Right, because as a Rashard Gary should be like, all I got to do is rush the passer. You know, it gives him a better incentive if he's back turned to me too, and I could get off that block in 2 hits, 2 moves or less. Fumble.
This is a fumble, but I just want to show. I'm just trying to demonstrate if I can get back here. We'll have to let's walk through this one more time because I just love this play, I guess. But you think of, I mean, listen, you can't talk about the speed here, but they're playing the Miami Dolphins, and we're in bunch right, and they've got 8 guys committed to the box, right?
Yep.
They have 8 in the box here. So they're playing single high versus the Miami. I just don't, for me personally, we know the Miami Dolphins don't even run. The reason I'm bringing this up is we don't care about the Miami Dolphins. Like, they're a great team, and they've got 2 of the fastest dudes on the planet that happen to be both in the top 5 in receiving, and they're just running stuff that doesn't make sense, honestly.
To cover them, right.
So now they go play action with a quick check out.
Yeah, you got 2 guys going to the tight end in motion, basically.
Yeah, and Malcolm Rodriguez right here gets caught on the dive, wide open. Yeah, and this is very well just a run pass option for Tua, and so maybe you can't be right here.
Right.
But it is very interesting to me. Taking that off and talk about the offense for a minute, it's just interesting to me the way they go about their business, because a lot of the things they do just from like. And listen, they watch tape. These are pro guys.
Yeah. That,
a schematic standpoint, from an execution standpoint, there's some head scratchers. I mean, there's a reason that they're 32nd in the league, and they're 32nd in the league in, I mean, gosh, AG, they're 32 points per game,
overall defense,
yards per game, points per play. They're 30th in the league, yards per game rushing, 155 yards a game rushing. I mean, this is a team where, like, if you're ever going to get healthy, it's going to be this week, because their weakness is their defensive line and their secondary, right? And so what has been plaguing us probably the most in particular is that defensive line. So I think this week, looking at Aiden Hutchinson being their one guy that can create pressure versus Bakhtiari, you got to feel pretty good about that matchup.
Oh yeah, you gotta like it. You got guys that it's a little beat up, but Buck has the athletic ability and the experience through the last few years that he's gonna ring out, and then, or I say ring out in a good way, to make sure that Aiden doesn't get in there or anybody over him to do that, and then it gives the offense a lot of possibility, especially with the way the Packers run game is going right now.
And I don't know if it makes, like, Aaron Rodgers has historically been really good against pressure. This is the kind of team that would be forced into pressuring you in order to create any real kind of pressure on the quarterback. I mean, when I say pressure, I mean they're going to be forced to blitz, run dogs if they want to create any kind of pressure, because they're not going to manufacture pressure on the inside, at least like some of the teams in the last couple of weeks have against us, with the Giants and the Jets and Redskins, so on and so forth. So I think that's, for me, like, I'm excited because I think this is a get healthy game potentially. When I say that, like, whatever's been ailing us on offense, I think this is a get healthy game where we could see a 35-point performance. They just don't play very well, and they just fired their DB coach. But oftentimes, the DB coach isn't doing his job very well. But that is a systemic problem, not this, like, acute problem that is only happening in one room. So
it's all over the place.
Offensively, These guys have now, they've had some down games, like they got blanked by the Patriots somehow, but they're number 9. They're 25 points a game. They're a good team, and they would be much higher. Like, they were at 30-something points a game until they got blanked. Right. So they've had some good outputs. They were up 17-0 or something like that on the Dolphins last week. It's just they came back to reality. The Dolphins had a couple turnovers, and they made some plays, but they have some real weapons. I don't know if you want to talk about DeAndre Swift. Like, Swift is a legit threat in this league.
Yeah, he's a problem. He's not a big guy, but he has his speed. He knows how to utilize that and making moves, and obviously in certain situations getting the ball on the edge and then doing the getting split in the slot or running wide receiver screening, things like that with him. The only thing is he is a little beat up. He has an ankle and a shoulder that's slowing him up. So we'll see how that comes out for the game.
He's been injured. The guy's averaging 7.4 yards a carry.
Yeah, he's a problem.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
It's Georgia product, right? Georgia?
Yeah, well, then Jamal Williams, Green Bay Packers Jamal, he's averaging 4.5 yards a carry. Everybody loves. I mean, Jamal Williams is a guy it's hard not to love, right? But, as a team, they're averaging over 5 yards a rush. I mean, really, the strength of their team is their offensive line. Their offensive line is, and I want to start by saying that Hank Fraley, who is a former Cleveland Browns center, he was a Pro Bowl guy when we were playing. Hank Fraley is one of the best young offensive line coaches in this league. He has done an incredible job with this group, man. Like, Frank Ragnow's been an All-Pro. He was hurt last year, but he's an incredible player.
He's really solid.
They went through, I can't tell you how many bad draft picks they went through at left tackle. Taylor Decker's playing really well. Like, Taylor Decker's become a legitimate left tackle starter in this league. Penei Sewell, everyone thought he was going to be, the guy. And quite frankly, like, when he came out last year, to me, really, really underdeveloped. And Hank Fraley has done an amazing job taking what is an incredible athletic piece of clay and turning him into a really, really good player in his second year. Their guards, they've had some injuries across the line. They've had to replace people. But right now, as it stands, Evan Brown and Jonah Jackson are playing at a high level. Like, this is one of the, for me, top 3, top 5 offensive lines of the league. Like, they're really, really good.
Nice.
And they are making guys like, I don't know what you think about Jared Goff. Jared Goff is, 64% completion percentage. He's got over 1,900 yards this year. He's only been sacked 13 times. Jared Goff's a guy who you expect to get sacked more than 13 times the way he stands in the pocket and holds the ball.
Yeah, he's a traditional pocket passer.
But he can make you great, or he can make you off, because he can throw windows. He can make plays, but there's a reason you know, he'll always have that stigma. Second pick in the draft was a bust with
the Rams.
With the Rams, but what was his name? The Tennessee coach. He was labeled a bust. Jeff Fisher was there, and he was kind of labeled a bust with Jeff. McVay came in, took him to the Super Bowl. Then a year later, he's like, you know what? This guy's not going to get it done. They had a little bit of resurgence. Ben Johnson is a guy that I worked with in Miami. Young guy, offensive coordinator here now. Really, really smart. Like Mensa smart. Sean McVay type personality as far as just gregarious, like very, very curious. And he's stacking plays on top of another. He does a very good job with the sequencing of plays. There's a reason they're playing well, but they just have the pieces in place. They lost TJ Hawkinson. They just traded him to the Vikings. Dude, it's crazy. So separate question on you, AG. Like, if you guys are obviously the Lions aren't going anywhere. Yeah. But like TJ Hawkinson, you got to be happy for because he's a good player.
Yeah.
But dude, like what since when do you trade your good tight end to a division rival? Like, what the hell is that?
I don't know. I'll say you trade him, but not in the division. I mean, you're going to face him later this season. You know, it's like, really? I don't. Yeah, that wasn't. It's just interesting. You know what their thought process was. I'm not in that building. Don't know, but from a player standpoint, we already know that's a no.
Let me ask you
let somebody go outside of the conference, outside of the division.
You're struggling. You're in the locker room, and it comes down that your general manager just traded one of your top 4 players.
Oh.
Dude's got 26 receptions, 395 yards, 3 touchdowns this year. Like, what are we doing?
Oh, I'm upset. I'm upset. When I found out I came back from 2 weeks being home in Nebraska, and you were gone and Marco was gone, I was like, what the hell is going on?
But that was free agency at least, right? Like, that was largely our choice.
Right.
But this to me, I always try to put myself in this like, okay. Because I've never been on a team that was that bad.
Right.
But I always try to put myself in a situation like, what do you do in the locker room when your general manager's like, yeah, we're making moves for next year so we have more draft picks? Because then it's like, well, for who? Like, you're trying to get a new coach? Is Dan gone? Is he on the hot seat already? Like who you get? Like, because now
what are you doing? Yes.
You've gotten net worse. You don't have a player that's anywhere near as good as that tight end. In order for your offense to run at a high level,
he's a blocker. He does do the dirty work.
Yeah, you got Josh Reynolds. Like, both those guys are playing at a high level. You got Swift, but Hawkinson, like, tight ends are Bubba Franks was our glue. Yep. Like, Bubba Franks brought it together. Hawkinson brings this team together as far as like where like that middle of the field, being able to play in the run game a little bit. And so now you're a worse team, and you're getting draft picks, but it's like you're gonna have to draft a guy that's a high level tight end. They're not free. They don't come free anymore. No. So it's just. That's a weird thing. I would really struggle in a locker room when they started jettisoning like really good players for a year. And because to me, it's like, well, structurally, we must have problems. They must be looking for a new coach.
That could be the first flag, and you just don't realize it yet as a player.
Let's check out some of this stuff because these guys do some good stuff on offense that we're gonna have to be aware of, right?
Oh yeah.
They got 3x2 empty set here against the Cowboys.
Yeah, mesh route right there.
And they're running crossing routes.
Yeah.
And the thing is about crossing routes is you have to have what, AG? The quarterback's got to have time.
Timing. You got to have time for protection and obviously the receivers to get open.
Yes.
And then you got to obviously catch the ball once he's available.
But this stuff looks simple, but it's really, really difficult for defenses still to pick up, especially in zone coverage.
Yeah.
And then now you got another 2x2 back in the backfield, shotgun.
Underneath crosser.
And you look, they're just running simple concepts, but they have the speed with Josh Reynolds and Ross St. Brown where they can run the deep digs
with like a dagger
the go
concept.
Route, right, against quarters and make this like this is a pretty easy play for them.
Yeah,
right?
That's the dagger concept right there.
And Jared Goff, you can say what you want about Jared Goff. He can throw this thing on a dart right now. Like he can, if he can step into his play, which with that offensive line they can. We got motion, fake the handoff. Now, the reason I like these plays and the reason I put this in here is because these are just concepts that, from a Green Bay Packers standpoint, can we pick something up from the stance?
Yep.
Because you're bringing this guy in motion all the way across to look like he's going to be the wham player. But you see how these guys are all coming down. So this is like an old K5, but it's a play action pass. So you got these strong doubles that are going to draw these linebackers in. a lot of people, and something that was talked about last week is when you try to run like the gratuitous play action off a shotgun where it's just like we'll fake to the quarterback, but it's like the best one was like Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler would like receive the ball and he'd be like, and like there was no step to it.
Yeah, he's all about throwing the ball.
Jared Goff's tucking the ball in. He's in an athletic position, like he's reading something, and the linemen are coming off the ball, and it actually, like, you can run effective play action, and this is a hard read for our defensive ends, like Preston Smith right here. This is a hard read for him.
He's being held backside.
Yeah, he's being held back, and now he has to look at Hawkinson, and now he can realize, okay, I got to make that rush, but it's always going to be a little bit late. It's difficult.
Yep. So that's something that Green Bay runs. They have that crosser with DeGore, or even Alan Lazard sometimes is that crosser in motion, and it does the wham block too. So that right there could be something they throw right into the play calling.
We got 12 personnel. You got a trips look to the left, hipped off with TJ Hawkinson, who's gone. So you got to come across, and again, under center play action pass, man. I just don't, like, right now in the league, I just don't think there's any better way to build out your offense is something where you can get this quarterback underneath the center every once in a while and run this under stuff, because you look at the separation space that they have between the first and second level. You look where the linebackers are, and then you look where the safeties are. Like between the 40 and the 30, there's nobody to eat. Like you can have all the time and space that you want. And again, Jared Goff puts this thing on an absolute rope down to the 20.
I didn't think that was completed there.
Down to the 22-yard line, man. I mean, like the kid. And so what we need to understand is Jared Goff's been to the Super Bowl, right? This is not, I know we saw him last year, but like Ben Johnson's a new offensive coordinator. He has injected these guys with a little bit of juice, and they can play. We got that play action look again. Watch the offensive line, all moving, right? They're running. Everybody's down and coming across as opposed to just pass blocking. You got the TJ Hawkinson coming across the ball. They're doing a full run cell here, and look what it does to these linebackers. The linebackers are all up, hidden by the linemen now.
Yep.
You got Josh. This is 55 Baker. They're all sucked in, and there's just windows of opportunity to throw a rope.
Right. And then the linebackers are trying to bail and get in a better position to defend the pass, because now they're like, we got sucked in too much. Exactly.
And this is something that, quite frankly, this is what's plagued the Packers, right? Like play action, all this stuff has worked. Our secondary's played off a lot, and so that separation of space is something that we really need to be cognizant about. We got a 2x2 here. We got motion in, cross the ball, turns into a 3x1. He comes back.
And why? In the corner.
Yeah. Why am I showing these guys? Because when you come back across the ball, you have to switch responsibilities again. Okay. So
got him messed up. Got him thinking.
He comes back.
He's like, all right, I got so and so, but back on my side now.
So now Hawkinson's got him leveraged, right? Because now he's the inside receiver.
And he's stuck there. He's got to get over there.
Yep. So he's never going to get that route. And I mean, that's good play design and execution. That's football right there.
Yeah, he's got to get that DB to get him. You got to run out of there. He can't just be still looking in the backfield too. He was still eyeballing the quarterback for some reason.
Shotgun. We got bunch right. I love these concepts.
Ooh, nice.
I love these concepts, AG, because
the China route right there.
Anytime you get in a situation where you've got these bunch releases, and they have to do what? They got to play like Cup when they play man on point, and then they separate it out. They play man the entire time, or they just choose, hey, I'm going to take the first inside, the first outside, whatever.
Right.
Like this is very, very difficult for these guys. So you see the cross, the switch underneath here from the outside receiver goes underneath the middle receiver and then pops back out.
Right.
There's nobody out there. And this is just good. This is what the Packers are going to have to deal with. And again,
good job by the running back there.
Yeah, good job pick up on the runner. I wanted to highlight. You always want to give love to the guys, right?
Yep. I said O lineman, good blocking, and running back bunches the linebacker out the club right there.
The one thing that you can say about a really well coached offensive line, AG, and I know
they're passing well too. They're passing off the blocks well too.
And I know Deuce Staley's the running back coach there, a guy that we both have a lot of respect for.
Yep.
Is they are going. This is the kind of team that is going to meet with their offensive line on the daily, or on at least a couple times a week. And hey, blitz pickup is going to be down pat. So this isn't something like for 32 to come all the way across 3 guys and pick that guy up, looping in the B gap. Like that is, I know that looks routine. That is not an easy block.
No, it's not. I've done it.
Yeah.
Very hard. Very hard. But no, it becomes a routine because between the running backs coach, the O-line coach, and the O-line and the running back all collaborating and talking, that's why he knows, okay, I got to track him because this is the blitz. This is what the defense is trying to do. Get you to, bait here in the A gap backside, but then he's going to go across the B gap play side or C gap play side. That's what you got to remember. And don't get caught up in the traffic. Get your feet up, move your feet out of the lineman way to your own lineman so you don't bump into them either.
Yes, sir. We got again a kind of a bunch look, tight bunch look right. Quarterback's under center.
Oh, got a blitz after.
Flip.
Ooh, nice pickup.
Look, this is I had to show this guy. There, look at 5 offensive linemen leading the charge. This is what I'm talking about. This is the strength of their offense. These guys are legit athletes. They are well coached, and when you have good skilled players and you have an offensive line that can move, it is a recipe for disaster. And our guys have to be super, super disciplined. You see how the Dallas Cowboys get sucked in here, and they end up making a mistake. And with some great, is that Van Escher?
Van Der Esch. If it wasn't for him, it could have been a bigger play.
That could have been a bigger play.
Yeah, they got lucky with his speed getting him.
We got a run concept here. Motion in. And this is the old kick play, AG. Everybody in the league runs this, but they run it a little bit differently.
Nice finish.
A lot of guys. So a lot of teams on the kick play for people at home, if you look to the left of the screen, what they're going to do is they're going to try to crash Micah Parsons and everybody down into the middle of the field, and they're going to allow the running back to bounce. So they're going to bring a man in motion. They're going to crash down on Parsons. They're going to come up on their safety number 6, and they want to leave the running back one-on-one with the cornerback, and we'll show you here in a minute. So you see him walk up. We're going to just do crash down here. Everyone's down. We want that look. If AG, that is free money for you all day. Because you can go left, you can go right, and if you put your foot in the ground and go down the middle, every coach in the league is going, I bet Ahman Green can get a minimum of 5 yards dragging a defensive back, right, in that position before he gets tackled. That's a free 5 yards. Right. Every time you see that look, and they've got the guys in the backfield that can make this happen.
Yes,
these are big plays that this is stuff we're gonna have to be ready to defend.
Yep. Good finish by Jamal on that last play. Good finish. Went through the guy.
Again, showing the athleticism of the offensive lineman.
Ooh, I like it. Big guy out there running in front.
Now this I'm putting in here for anybody who just loves watching offensive line play, bro. Okay, so we got motion across, tight ends not on the ball. He's hipped off on the left tackle. Yeah. I want to show you. So the Miami Dolphins are going to run a stunt here. Okay. And I just want to show you how patient the left tackle and left guard are at passing this stunt off. Pass, patient, up. Wow. Pin Baker 55. Nice. And like we used to do that with you. And when you can get those kind of plays,
that's beautiful.
Like you get back to the huddle, man, and like, we all just kind of look each other in the eye and just get you get juiced up because those are the plays that you like sat in meetings and just, you write notes. Those are the ones you highlight with your highlighter, like make sure to look for this. If he's a little bit tighter, make a call. Like there's a specific call. 98 handoff solid in that Tampa game you always talk about. We had a specific call when they had a Niner call when they were on a 9 because we knew that it meant a certain thing. Those are the best feelings in the world. The Detroit Lions are, for lack of a better term, a shit show on defense right now, but they can play on offense. So we better be ready to bring it and not tip things off because when you're a well-coached offensive line, everything else becomes easier for the skill positions, which they have in abundance.
Yep, exactly. Well coached. A bunch of guys. Good job, Mike.
So last thing here, man, let's go keys to the game. I got 3 keys. Packers defense. I think if we sit back in a shell, we're going to get killed. I think if we sit back and we just play that shell coverage, we're going to get killed. Jared Goff can throw the ball. The offensive line can protect. There's going to be it'll be fun to watch Rashawn Gary versus Penei Sewell and obviously Preston on the other side. But they're too good. We have to be able to take something away. We have to make the Lions a one-dimensional team. Offensively, take what the defense gives you. If you watch the last couple games, against the Dallas Cowboys, they wanted to play a kind of a shell defense. Against the Miami Dolphins, a lot of times you find them in single safety high. You find them in 7 and 8 man boxes against a Miami Dolphins team that has Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill on the field. So they've been exploited every time. So take what they give you, go out there and just execute. They're not very good at they have like a good player at every level. They don't have good players at every level. They don't have the sophistication to disguise things away and then be able to execute those disguises. So go out there and take it. And I think the last thing for me, AG, is like, I've always thought that Ford Field was a hard place to play. I know we lost there on Thanksgiving. We talked about it on Monday.
Yeah.
But it is a hard place to play, regardless of the quality of opponent, which has been up and down over the years. This is a place where you got to go up and let's start fast and not have to dig ourselves a hole we have to get out of.
Yeah, it's always fun to take the lead on the road. Because you see the momentum kind of just go your way, and then the fans sometimes help you out, especially those fans. They can turn on their Lion players. We've been there when we beat them, when that's happened, when we get that momentum. So that's part of my one of my keys right there. I said Packer offense, like we talked earlier, get the run game going and build that pass game off of that. And we have the formations out there. I know Matt LaFleur has it in his playbook. Don't get too, no crazy. Don't get too crazy and make it look
cute.
all.
We don't need to be cute.
You don't need to be cute. Put the formation out there to make it work with the run game and then the pass game, and then that, as usual, create turnovers. But then pressure defense-wise, pressure Goff, because you don't want Amon-Ra to get hot or any of the receivers, because those guys are a problem when they are on the same page, as we saw on some of them completions on that tape. And then also we will see if DeAndre Smith if he's healthy, even if he's playing, and we already know he's beat up, let's see how healthy he is. All right. I've heard, I remember defensive backs, linebackers, coordinators used to tell me, oh, AG, we knew you had a sore ankle, but we're just going to make sure that how sore it is and test you out, put hats on you. So I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, all right. I like that. So do that same with DeAndre Swift. Put hats on him. Okay, he has a busted shoulder. Let's see how busted shoulder that is, or ankle. And it's not saying hurt him, but it's a part of the game you just got to be aware of as a linebacker going in for the tackle. Hey, he's a little beat up. Let's make sure, we let him know about it, and that we're aware of it and keep it on front and do that. And let's say that'll be a good recipe to help, for the Packers to win this game.
Packers were actually +1 last week in turnover, so we're up to, I guess, -3 for the year. We still want to get positive, but yeah, right. I think that's a great point. This is certainly a team we can win that turnover margin. Let's hit some games. So tonight we got tonight we have a 14-point spread between the Philadelphia Eagles being hosted by the Houston Texans. Now, I got some guys on Houston, and I'm a big fan.
Yeah,
14 points is like, we're in the NFL still, right? 14 points is a lot.
That's a lot.
14 points is a lot.
It was 11 for Green Bay, and the Bills were the Bills last week. So, oh yeah.
The problem is when you watch Philly, and now they just picked up Robert Quinn.
Oof,
on defense, they just come in waves. Like their first two defensive lines are legit. The Houston Texans interior line, Justin Simmons put a beating on the Houston Texans interior line that I don't know that I've seen in a while. Like he put it, I'm not talking about like sacks. I'm talking about physically dominating another human. Like I haven't seen that since like Hainsworth in his prime. Okay. It was a beating. So it's going to be tough inside there with Fletcher Cox and Hargraves and all those guys. They're so good on offense. Jalen Hurts playing at a really high level. So I'm going to take Houston with the points.
Ooh.
But it's going to be hard to beat Philly right now. They're rolling.
Oh yeah. No, I'm Philly all day. Jalen Hurts in that offense. AJ Brown looking like a Terminator. He's looking like a guy that is getting comfortable with his quarterback. And then their defense, Fletcher Cox, as you mentioned, they're doing a really good job of pressuring teams. Making run games not relevant, and just that's part of the reason they're balanced offensively, defensively. That's why part of the reason they're 7-0. So definitely got the Eagles.
Let's just do some good games here. So I think the Bills Jets to be good. It's 12.5 spread, and I say that as soon as I said it should be good, I go, oh, I forgot. Vera Tucker's out and Breece Hall's out, so it's not going to be good. It's a 12.5 spread, and the Bills will probably win. The big question right now everyone's talking about is Zach Wilson the guy? And AG, do you think if you're sitting in that locker room, do you think Zach Wilson's the guy?
I say he's the guy. He just got to know where his little comfort spot should be. Like some of the throws you saw him do last week, he was getting out of his range of throwing, and being uncharacteristic as a quarterback, feet not set, throwing off balance, throwing back, on his back foot. You know better than that, Zach.
Is he arrogant?
I don't know. I never met him. I couldn't.
No. I mean, like so if you were to ask me his throwing, I'd say, oh, he's arrogant.
But yes.
But then I go, well, Brett was arrogant too. Like it's not a bad thing, but you have to. It's just like anything else. You have to be in the right situation. Like somebody brought this up on TV a couple of days ago. Like, imagine if Brett Favre would have gone to like a really bad Jets team in New York City in that market.
Right.
Like he's throwing all those picks and all that stuff his first year.
Yeah, in his prime,
like he's out. He's not playing. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like he's he's not getting the chance. So it's always tough in that market with that situation, but you do have weapons around you. You certainly have drafted well in the last couple of years. Mekhi Becton notwithstanding.
Correct.
But I think he's the guy. I just, it's always interesting to me when they brought in his quarterbacks coach to be on the staff last year because they didn't have a guy to handle him. It's
from
stuff
BYU.
I don't know if it's probably a private guy actually. I would guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when that stuff kind of happens, I of course go, well, yeah, that's exactly what you should be doing because you don't have a guy in the building to help. But then I go, well, is he still there? Like because you're not seeing maybe the progress that you want to see.
Yeah, anyway. It's two things. It's either arrogance or just thinking like some players think because Brett thought this way. Oh, I could get it. I could do this.
But that's arrogance. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's
it's selfishness for sure. It's definitely selfishness. Because you're thinking.
I don't think it's selfish. Well, this is interesting, but I would look at it this way.
Okay.
Brett thinking that Brett could make any throw.
Because I've heard him tell me, Ahman, that was triple coverage. I could get it in there. I'm like, no.
Okay, so you're saying it's selfish because you should make the smart play. I'm saying he's doing it because he thinks that's the play to be made.
Right.
He's just arrogant as hell because he's got a cannon.
Gotcha.
Right? Semantics.
I get it.
Okay, here's one. Miami, Chicago, Miami by 5. I think we probably take Miami there, right?
Yeah.
Chicago's out Roquan Smith now, dude. Like they're gone. Their defense is nothing.
No surprise. He wanted to go in training camp. He asked to be goes in.
This is another thing though. So explain this to me. How do the Chicago Bears draft Justin Fields, not give him anybody on the offensive line? So what the best friends on running game, they actually have a pretty decent running game.
They are really good running game.
But by that I mean they have really good running backs.
Correct.
Right? Then they go out and get rid of arguably their two best players, but certainly their two best defensive players are Robert Quinn and Roquan Smith.
Pro Bowler.
Then they bring in Chase Claypool, who has a history of he's talented. There's no question he's talented.
But sports IQ not up to par.
Would you prefer, if it was you bringing along a young quarterback, I'm just asking you the question, would you prefer to bring in a little more veteran guy, a little more savvy, a guy that can maybe help the quarterback develop? Or is this because this doesn't feel like a Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow relationship, right? Where they already know each other, or Jamar Chase is a generational talent. This feels more like you've got a guy who the Steelers were willing to get rid of.
Mm-hmm. I feel like in terms of experience is not going to be a beneficial thing right away for Justin Fields because he's still lacking experience himself, but he's come a long way because now they're using his talent, his legs, along with his arm in the proper way. But he still has a long way to go in the pass game, and Claypool would not have been my first ideal pick for him as a quarterback.
I agree.
In that, how you explain that, and
but
I was able to get that
in 2 years from now, right coaching, right situation, they could be the next dynamic duo.
They could be, but
they
got to
certainly have the talent.
They certainly have talent. Start talking.
Right, this is actually an interesting game because the Falcons are in first place. Chargers, Falcons at home, but they're underdogs 3 points.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a crazy one because, like I said, last week's game they should have lost, but DJ Moore flips off the helmet, and then they got a 50-yard field goal. And I didn't realize the kicker missed in overtime too, as well. So either way, yeah, that was just like So it wasn't just DJ Moore, is also kicker and missing 2 kicks on top of that. But I like Chargers Road Warriors. They're 2-1 right now. and they still got it. The defense is still there for them. I'm not sure where they're ranked at, but with that, I like the Chargers on the road. I think the Falcons are just surprising themselves with
They're
the
just in a
gameplay.
bad conference. Their division. Their division.
Their
sucks.
division. Yeah, that.
They really. And let's be honest, their division sucks.
Yeah, it's a bad division.
I agree with you. Seahawks, Cardinals. Cardinals by 2 at home. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm taking the Seahawks all the way here.
And that's where my first inclination went because obviously rivalry game, divisional rivalry, and the Cardinals are on different pages.
I think the Cardinals are this close. I think that fuse is like this far away from the powder keg right now.
Right. It's like something's going on there. It's pages. Kyler's here. Was it Kingsbury? Kingsbury, the head coach, is there. Hopkins, he's there, and then Kyler's over here. And the run game's beat up. You have Connor, he's beat up right now. Defense, don't really know because it's just been back and forth crazy games for them. And this is also, like I said, that rivalry for that is still there. So that's why I'm pulling for the Seahawks here. They've been playing good football.
This is a big moment game for the Seahawks, I think. And I just think I'm unabashedly rooting for Pete Carroll and John Schneider this year. And I just think this is a big game for them. I think they're going to do it. That'll be an interesting one at 4:05 Eastern on Sunday. Titans, Chiefs by 12.5. You can pick what the Chiefs are going to win. I don't know about how much. The Titans. Here's the thing about the Titans that are interesting about the Chiefs, though. The Titans do think, and I watched them last week with their run game and the way that Justin Simmons and that defensive line comes off the ball. The Titans. This is literally like we can play old school and hang with you, and the Chiefs are like, no, you can't, because Patrick Mahomes is a bad dude, and it doesn't matter. You can do all this other stuff. You're not going to be able to get to them. It'll be really interesting to see if that works.
Yeah, it is, because that's how I know their defense is coached with Vrabel, and they just run a basic defense. They're good at tackling, all that stuff that we always talk about. So it's like, hey, we're going to beat you with fundamentals. What you going to beat us with? But we we got this dude named Pat Mahomes.
He's so good, man.
He is special. And then he has the receivers around him, too, that do it, too.
The thing about the Tennessee, Derrick Henry's on a different level now that he's healthy again. When you watch him, watched the whole game last week twice actually, and 3 times, and I went, you just kind of, oh my god, I can't believe he's that good at that size.
Yeah.
But the Titans are a team that when the O-line is bad, they feast, man. When Justin Simmons is up,
their D lineman.
Yeah, when the O-line is not good, the D line feast. Justin Simmons has a day. But they are not what I would call traditional pass rushers. They have to do a lot of games. They have to do a lot of stunts and stuff in order to win. And if you have guys like Joe Thuney and those guys, Creed Humphrey inside for the Chiefs, they're good. So I don't think that Justin Simmons is going to walk in there and just dominate the line of scrimmage like he has in the weeks past. So for that reason, I think the Chiefs are going to have a lot more success than people maybe think, although the 12.5-point spread's a big number. They're not sure about Tannehill. The whole thing, he was sick. He had an ankle. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But Chiefs.
Last one for me here. We agree that the Ravens are going to beat the Saints, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So let's do this one. Yeah. So it's 2.5 Ravens. How is that? How are the Ravens Saints game a 2.5-point spread? How? I would have said that's like a 10-point spread.
I'll say because the last couple of weeks of the offensive output for the Saints, even though that
the
Carolina
Red Rocket,
game,
was it Red Rider or Red Rocket? What do they call him? Andy Dalton.
I don't know.
Dude,
you just said either one. They're like,
yeah.
I was like, really?
Yeah. Well,
I think I will hope it's Red Rider. No, Red Rocket. I hope it's Red Rocket, not Red Rider.
Red Rider's the shotgun that they had in Christmas Story. It must be Red Rocket.
Yes. Yeah.
Red Rifle. Red Rifle.
Red Rifle. Yeah, I hope it's that.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Listen, AG, it'll be interesting. I'm excited to watch this game, the Packers game. It's interesting actually. 3.5 points kind of tells you Lions are at home. So that means this is a 5-point game. Generally you add 1.5 for the home field. I hope that you'd love to see like a 35-point explosion from the Packers, and
they're due
to see what happens. But
they're due for it.
You just feel like they're due, right?
Yeah, they're definitely due. They just got to put the work in. Whatever Matt LaFleur is putting up for their game plan, And then Aaron and all the players offensively got to be in the same place, same defensively with Joe Burry and the defensive scheme. And what's up? It's like, hey man, let's go play. I mean, what else did we're at a point where it's like, look, we're 2 games before below 500.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Let's not even think about that. Just go play ball. Play ball at the best of our ability. That's what the players amongst themselves, regardless of what's called. You know what? We're gonna play ball. I'm better than. We're gonna find out who's better than who this weekend, and this will be a good game to start with.
Yeah, that's a 1-at-a-time deal for sure. All right. Well, you can check AG, check Ahman Green 30, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok.
Yeah.
Is that right?
And TikTok, Ahman Green's Gamers Lounge is on TikTok.
Ahman Green's Gamers Lounge. Okay. Mike Wall 68 on Twitter, Process to Perform on Instagram. Mike Wall 68 on TikTok. Boy, I tell you what, TikTok, it's another conversation. Well, you get in the wormhole in that place. My daughter's like, don't get on that thing. I was like, she told me to get on it. And then you get on it, you got to like checking it. Oh, that thing is dangerous.
My brother said the same thing. He said, hey, bro, man, I've been on T. Said, I'm lost.
Yeah,
I don't know what to do.
I'm just telling you right now.
It's crazy. I'm about to so many crazy videos.
These kids today, they got too much stuff to deal with, man.
They do way too much time.
All right, AG, we'll check you out Monday after the game, bud. Love you.
Yep. Talk to you soon.